Hey everyone, this is Rachel and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. If you hang out until after the video is through, there are always detailed shots of my current layout. Let's get going! Hey everyone, so I am here once again, as is Xanthi, and I'm going to do another layout using my Secret Not Secret Kit Club that I purchased back in the beginning of 2018. Now, I don't have any full-size sheets of paper left in this kit. All I have are scraps and a couple of 6x6 pieces of paper. And so what I've decided to do is pull in some marshmallow basil cardstock from my stash, and I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media using two things that came in my kit, one of which was the Vicky Bouton Rose Gold Glaze, along with the... Dude, I kind of need to show people that. Come on, dude. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. You be too obnoxious, you get kicked out. The Vicky Bouton Mixed Media Stencils. So they come with 3 stencils, flowers, doodly circles, and then the butterflies I'm going to use today. So these are 2 photos that I'm going to be scrapbooking. They are of my miniature schnauzer, who at the moment of this photo sort of resembled a small bear. So that's not the story that I'm telling here, but I do kind of find it, she was due for grooming like so quickly right after this photo was taken. Anyways, rambles have been starting. Instead, I will get you put on fast forward so I can start this process video, so let's get going. Alright, so first things first, I am going to grab my stencil and my rose gold glaze, and I really just want it poking out the top of the left-hand photo and at the bottom of the right-hand photo. So I'm going to use this marker to mark how far I need to go down and then where the bottom of the stencil or where the top of the stencil will be in the sense of the photo on the right hand, because I don't want to waste my glaze, which is hilarious because I have a giant jar of it, but I also don't want to have it be super lumpy bumpy behind the photo, just to make my life a little easier. So once I get that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my glaze and use that angled thingy. I'm sure there's an actual technical name for it. First I'm going to get rid of Xanthi once again. Use that angled scraper thing to get my texture glaze down. First, I am going to tape it down with just a little bit of washi. I especially wanted to cover up that little hole because I was concerned I would accidentally get some texture paste. I, don't do that. I do manage to, however, get some texture paste above. Now, I could have gone and used an old gift card or an old, like a fake credit card, the kind they send you in the mail, for a smoother look, and it does take me a while to get to where I fill the butterflies because it's such a large space to fill. So it takes a while to get filled all the butterflies without scraping through to the paper, but I actually kind of like the texture that it gives with the smaller piece. So I'm going to go and use a piece of paper just to block that so I don't end up with remnants of the stencil from the top hitting the paper as well. I've done that before, goofballish. So once I go ahead and I'm going to do the bottom half as well, once I do that, I will pause the video because when you use texture paste with a stencil, unless you want to have that texture paste permanently on the stencil, you need to go and wash it off right away. All I really do is run it under warm water and then take a paper towel and kind of rub it with the paper towel. It usually comes right off pretty quickly. So peel off the stencil, which is always awesome. Well, usually awesome, unless you've messed something up, which I've done occasionally. So I'm going to put that aside to dry, go wash my stencil, come back, and now I'm going to play with my paper layers. I consider using that tone-on-tone blue and aqua, but I'm not ready to give up on those hearts and using those for a layout as well. So I know I have other heart paper. You can see it in the upper right-hand corner right now. I'm going to go ahead and trim down my photos for no reason other than I want to use that 6x6 paper, and if I trim down the photo, I can have it matted one of those photos rather than be the same length as that photo. So that was it. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off the piece here. I know it's perforated. I prefer to use my trimmer when I can, just because it lessens the amount of perforations, because with such a dark paper, the perforations would be really, really white. So now I'm just making layers, seeing what looks good, playing around with all the pieces of paper in the size I already have it. If it doesn't work in the size I already have it, I just trim it down a bit if that feels better. Everything doesn't end up exactly the way it is now. One of those papers gets a little lost, and so I end up moving around where it is. But for the most part, this is how it's going to end up when, what I'm doing right here before I go back and glue it all down. I trim off the branding strip on that bow paper. That is from Pink Paisley. I don't know exactly where everything is from. I know that 6x6 piece is another Pink Paisley. That red one, I actually am not 100% sure what that is. The heart paper, the dark blue one, the floral paper, this paper right here, the green squares, all of those are from Pink Fresh Studio. Either Let Your Heart Decide or Be You. I'm not entirely sure which. So I wanted to use that green angled square paper, but I didn't want to lose all those fun pieces at the bottom. So I just trimmed it out, and I'm going to add this to the bottom left-hand side, and also making sure to bring that green over to both sides. So I finally remember, oh yeah, you wanted to have that bow paper in, and we are magically, everything is dry and everything is good. So Xanthi there is actually the reason we came back to all those layers being super messy. I came back and she was laying right in the middle of my papers. I had paused it to go do something, so they kind of got all a little bit messed up. It's okay in the end. I'm happy with the way it looks. Everything as I said before, isn't exactly the way it was at the beginning. So you'll see, if you remember that hot pink piece of paper, that is hidden under my cardstock. So right now, I'm just basically trying to layer things close to the way they were before, but I am missing that hot pink piece of paper. Sorry about that, the dog accidentally stepped on the remote control during a very loud and annoying commercial. Wow, couldn't remember the word commercial. I'm going to trim down this little mini geometric shaped pattern paper so it fits in that dark blue one, and I like that better than the dark blue right next to the photo. And now I'm thinking about whether or not I'm happy with it, and I decide, you know what, I really am. I like the way this looks. So when I do layers like this, and I don't obviously want to lose where everything is, I just start working from the top down, laying down some ATG on all of my layers. When I do this, I look at the layer below. Does the layer have full coverage by the layer below? If so, I put down a full thing. Does it just touch one little piece like that heart paper touched the navy? I just run one line down. Now I did the same thing to attach it to the navy plus sign paper, and I'm going to get rid of Xanthi as well. So this is how I glue things down when I'm doing bunches of layers like this. And the good thing with ATG is, unless you actually really press down on it, it does not attach right away. So you can zhuzh it just a bit before you have to concern yourself with ripping your paper back up. All right, so almost down to the bottom here, I'm going to go ahead and lay some strips down on this piece that's going to go or horizontally all the way across the paper. I do have that green piece and that floral piece left, and I'm trying to think of where I want it, and I'm like, do I want it there under that? And I'm like, no, I don't really like that. I'm going to pull that back up and then tuck it underneath that navy piece instead. Deciding which one I like as a lower layer. So I decide the green is going to be my bottom layer right now, line it up with the rest of the things, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay a lot of more HTG down across this entire photo block. Making sure to catch the butterflies so they don't look like they randomly stop before the paper. And here's where I find that pink paper, and I'm like, ah, yeah, I forgot about that one. I am going to tuck it in, but rather than being over on the left-hand side, or am I, no, I'm going to put it down at the bottom because that left-hand side was glued down pretty harshly. So I'm just going to tuck that underneath that piece, and I like the way that looks as well. And I decide I want that darker ombre at the bottom. Probably nobody else will notice that but me, but that's what my brain said to do. Okay, so now I'm working on my title. I'm going to use the words "Wake Up" from the Chamel Box of Crayons Thicker Words set. And then I'm going to use these Pink Fresh Studios The Mix Volume 2 Green Alphas for the last of it, which is Sadie. I did actually go ahead and add some liquid glue to those because it was going over the mixed media. I'm going to grab a couple of open hearts, or maybe just one. Yeah, just one. And then that arrow, but that arrow I'm going to pull back up because I'm going to start to add die cuts, and I want to layer the arrow over the die cuts rather than the opposite, because trying to layer something over something dimensional is a little hard. So I pull the dimensional pieces off, and what I'm basically looking for in this die cut pack, which is from Let Your Heart Decide by Pink Fresh Studio, is I'm looking for all the floral pieces. So all the little flowers, all the leaves, and I'm just going to have that be in that little corner by where the butterflies are, between on the upper side of both photos, and then down by the title, and then over to the right of the right-hand photo. And those are going to be my embellishment clusters. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I mean, I've got a lot of layers going on, and the texture paste. I mean, this is probably already way too busy for a whole bunch of people, but for me, it's just kind of average. I'm going back into that die cut pack because I want to also add those die cut hearts to each of my embellishment areas. And now I'm just using liquid glue because these die cuts, the ones I'm using, are less square and more, obviously since they're flowers, more easygoing. I decided I really wanted to make sure to use liquid glue, not to mention some of them are going on top of mixed media that always has an issue with using HEG. Alright, I'm just gluing everything down, making sure it's all good to go, and after this I'm going to go to the puffy stickers as well before adding back those stickers. Or I add the stickers back, then I add the puffy stickers. Hey, good to know. There you go. So I'm adding a couple of the puffy stickers. Once again, I'm trying to use up all of the florals. I don't have a ton of them left, so I do want to make sure to go ahead and use them all. That way there isn't just one random flower left in either of my packs. I'm also adding that full heart puffy sticker because I do have such a full heart when I think of my Sadie. She's such a good girl. And I'm also adding this little die cut that says Dream a Little Dream because this entire thing, and here's the square I'm going to use from the die cut pack for my journaling. So my entire story here is she's such a goofy girl. These photos are taken on the ferry coming back from Long Island, and I was rubbing her belly, and she was acting all, I'm so sleepy, and then a dog walked by, and it was full alert, laser focus. So it's just a little joke. I'm like, oh, that's what wakes you up, a dog walking by. Yeah, absolutely. So at first I think I'm going to use some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine to finish off this layout, but I decide no, I've got this rose gold red from Shimmers, I might as well use that. So I'm going to put that over both areas where the butterflies are, and that is going to finish off my layout. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. Have a great day, everyone. If you could flick me a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. Bye!